Hey everybody, welcome to our rubric and scoring calibration for Humanities online. I really struggled with how to do this. After talking to Tracy, we kind of figured the best way would be to write rationales for essays that we thought from last year in the scoring was a sample of a 4, a sample of a 3, a 2, and a 1. And I just kind of went through those essays that y'all scored last year and pulled one from each category and tried to write a clear rationale using language from the rubric to explain why it received this score. And so hopefully those are clear. If you have any questions about what is written on these rationales, please don't hesitate to either reach out by email, or if you have my number, you can call me. Or if you can get hold of Tracy and she can reach out to me, I can try to explain my thinking behind it. Again, these were samples that were scored last year. And so one way or the other, I thought they were really good, solid essays for that score. So please look at this. After you look at the rubric here in just a little bit by yourself, kind of go back over. It's the same rubric as we used last year. It's still the same one, looks like this. And it still is all the way up to a score 4, and it still has the same 4 categories. And so just real fast, I want to do some kind of reminders of things that we just talked about the last 2 years that we've used this rubric now. And that is, so the development of ideas. Well, first off, let's start off with this. Remember, the only way to get a 0 is if they write absolutely nothing. Okay, we're sticking with the state on this one. Even the state, when they do 7th grade, 4th grade, high school writing EOCs, it is if they write nothing, they can get a score of 0. If they write something in English, they get an automatic 1. They could tell you about their grandma, and it would still be a 1. I know that seems ridiculous, but it is what it is. And so keep that in mind. So the development of ideas, this is really kind of, this is where Tracy likes to chime in and talk about, sorry, she's curious. This is where Tracy likes to chime in and talk about innate ability to write. And I think what she means by that is that you can just tell that this student, when you're reading their writing, you can tell that they just have a natural knack for making their thoughts clear through writing. The reader has no trouble following along, and it's just the really great ability to communicate in a written form. Okay, so remember to keep that in mind on this section, but also the development of ideas. What also kind of falls under this category is, do they answer the prompt? And remember, the prompt is why Walmart and other retailers, so they could talk about other stores as well, why they should consider selling ugly fruits and vegetables. Okay, so, and there's a fine line. So the score 2 essay that is the sample, for instance, it got a 2 because the student talks about why Walmart is selling ugly fruits and vegetables, and they just regurgitate information from the article. So they didn't answer the prompt strong enough to receive a higher score. The writing was good, but it wasn't, the support and the evidence and analysis was not strong at all. And the answering of the prompt was very weak. So keep that in mind on the development of ideas section. Support using text evidence. So I think every year we kind of talk about, what do we expect from text evidence from 10 and 11-year-olds, right? So one of the things we have to keep in mind is that we don't expect them to embed quotes and text evidence seamlessly or like a professional writer yet. They're 10 and 11. Paraphrasing information from the article and using that as their evidence to support ideas, or to use as evidence so that they can then come back and use their own thoughts to support that is completely acceptable. There will be students, I'm sure, like there was last year, that did use quotes, and they talked about specifically in line whatever, and that's completely acceptable also. But paraphrasing is acceptable. The analysis section, this is where the writer makes clear connections that between this is what I'm saying about the article, the evidence I'm using, and this is how my own thoughts clearly go with that to support my stance. And everybody's stance is the same. The stance is why retailers or Walmart should consider selling ugly fruits or vegetables. So can they take what they used from the text, add their own ideas? Do they go well together? And does it always come back to supporting that stance? Okay. And then, of course, the last section is the language, conventions, and organization. This is your punctuation, your spelling, your grammar. And again, just a reminder that, if there's a couple words that are misspelled, we're not going to ding them for that. This is a timed writing setting. Nobody's going to be perfect in a timed writing setting. Now, clearly, if they don't have any punctuation at all, that makes it really hard for the reader to follow along. Of course, that's going to knock them down some, right? Sometimes word choice isn't the best. You can tell they're using a word that they may not really know how to use. If they do it once, it's not a big deal. If they do it consistently throughout the essay, that's something that you would knock them down on, okay? You'll have kiddos that that they're using higher level words that a 10 and 11-year-old just doesn't use naturally, but they're doing it well, of course, and that would knock them up on this section. So just keep this language and conventions section, just kind of keep in mind that we don't expect it to be perfect, but there's a difference between clearly stating and clearly making it readable, and then some of these things that take away, like I have no idea where to stop or think or like how to read this because it's so disjointed and the punctuation is so bad or the spelling is just terrible. And so just keep in mind on that section. Also on this section, I think we always talked about too, is handwriting. If it's unreadable, it's unscorable. And I can't really remember what we said that would receive a 1 or a 0 or what it is, but it's unscorable. If you can't read it, move on. Maybe give it to somebody or send it to somebody else, see if they can read it. And I think that is all that we had really talked about on each section. Hopefully I didn't skip over anything, but please do kind of review the rubric by yourself for a little bit, and then go through and look at the sample papers, read the sample paper, and then read the rationale behind it. And again, if you have any questions over these, please just reach out and ask, and I will be happy to help you guys. So thank y'all so much for everything you're doing, and good luck scoring. Y'all have a great day. Bye.